Hello, welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are on Link to Expert Goodreads Authors Corner. I am Cece Schatz, the Joanne of Relationship Building, and I have my good friend here with me.
Joanne Wyland, Why Land When You Can Fly, where you can find an expert in minutes and be found as an expert in minutes on linktoexpert.com. Welcome.
Absolutely. All of the information is right there on our goingboldmedia.com. Just go to goingboldmedia.com. You will find all of our hosts and guests and all their information there and many other shows and information. We just got a tons of information there. So just check it out at your leisure, but don't do it now because we've got a terrific guest with us here today. We're going to be talking with author about okay, go ahead. You go ahead and do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elinor Stutz. I am so excited. Elinor and I know each other for over 7 years. It's truly amazing all the things we've done together, as well as sharing ideas, sometimes even consoling each other when certain things have happened in our lives over the 7 years. But if you ever want to meet a connector, this woman is a connector. I mean, she has been totally inspirational in my life with her. She has over 12,000 connections on LinkedIn. She's always on LinkedIn. She's always blogging on Link to Expert. I know she has over, I think, 70 blogs that she's always posting. She has thousands and thousands of, I think it's like 4,500 different even contacts on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, on Link to Expert. I mean, she's just constantly meeting people, introducing me to people, and I just love it. I mean, it's just, and I hope she feels the same. I try to, always bring in new people so that they can also find people on Link to Expert and hire them. So, Elinor, it's such a delight to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Likewise, it's a treat having met you and now Cece, and an honor to be on your new show. Thank you for having me as a guest.
And today's about authors, and I
She
tell
just
you,
inspires everyone, doesn't she? She absolutely inspires everyone.
well, and I think that is the reason I do is because I hang out with people like you two. And I'm not just saying that, but it does really make a huge difference. If you're always hanging out with the doom and gloom people, you kind of become doomy and gloomy. And when you hang out with other people that, empower you, I mean, it's such a difference. I mean, Eleanor always talks about, believing, and then not only do believing, do you then you be whatever you believe you become, and then you empower yourself as well as others. And I love that this saying because it's so true. And if you don't believe it, you're never going to become it and you're never going to get empowered. So just start believing it. Even when you think, you're kind of telling yourself a story, I find that just keep repeating it and soon you'll start believing it because it really is just an old habit. And that's what I would love to share her story today. I mean, one of the things, that really inspired me when I first learned about her, how she was transformed with her neck. And would you mind sharing that with us today, Eleanor?
Not at all. How long a version would you like?
Well, we have 40 minutes on our show, so
That's a small
because there's other things I would also love to talk about, like your book. But I really think it's really important to emphasize what we mean about believing and becoming and empowering. If you tell, the story, what happened to you and what resulted from that.
Okay. Part of my uniqueness is including humor in sales conversations, just so you know. I was a top producer in sales. Even the first job where they refused to train me because I was a stupid female gave me a green light to do things the way I wanted to do them. And I had the time of my life with my clientele, but back in the office, it was awful. And it became worse when it was announced that I was the top producer the fourth month, and I still didn't know anything about the business equipment I was supposed to be selling, nor a formal way to sell. I instead had fun sharing stories and experiences with clientele. So every year, because I embarrassed all the men, my hard-earned accounts were given to them and my quota tripled for the following year. So year after year, for 11 years, I had to go find a new job. And I began to realize that our gifts are in these awful experiences. I became an expert on how to sell yourself on interviews. And years later, that was part of my community service. But after the 11th job, and I knew that I had to find a 12th job or just cut it and become an entrepreneur again, which I was in my early years. But I decided to take one day off for myself. I'm at a red light and boom, out of the blue, somebody rammed full force into the back of my car at about 60 miles an hour. I told the doctor I could feel my brain swaying around in my head. Of course, he didn't believe me. But I was in terrible pain for 10 years. No doctor wanted to touch me. And I say, thankfully, on a rainy night, 10 years later, I was a passenger in a car. And as the car made a left turn, it slowly skidded into a lamppost. And I timidly said, I think you better call an ambulance. I don't feel quite right. So there I was at Stanford Hospital on a stretcher, my family taken into consultation, and I could hear them sobbing because they didn't expect me to survive. But me, I could not make this up. I never believed in miracles or near-death experiences, but I experienced one. And two visions came to me. The first, I was supposed to be a speaker. And in my mind, I said, yes, that's what I always wanted to do. Saw a blink of a gold light, a brilliant gold light encased my entire body. I'll never forget it. And then the first vision faded and a second vision came up. It was my life report card. On the left-hand side, I had very high life marks, but on the right-hand side, it was a complete embarrassment. It was blank and entitled Community Service. In the moment, I pledged to myself and the great beyond, I would begin giving back to communities any way I could. But being the sales negotiator, I also added, but I need to be able to walk out of the hospital on my own to give my best. And I saw another gold light blink, and then the gold light over my entire body slowly dissipated, at which point my family came over. And I said to them, go home, get a good night's sleep. I'm going to be fine. They probably thought I was delirious. At any rate, I couldn't make any of this up. I have a score here that you can see from the surgery. Mm-hmm. The next morning, well, first of all kinds of miracles happened that night. It's a very long story, and I won't go into the details. But it was a teaching hospital, and when the doctor told the students what he did, their students' eyes almost popped out of their heads. Anyways, the next morning, I'm heavily medicated, and I'm excited about what happened the night before. And then I hear the surgeon say to me, Mrs. Stutz, when you wake up, most likely you'll be paralyzed. And being a salesperson, I hear words spoken. And I knew most likely meant he didn't expect me to survive. But given all the incidents the night before, I shot back with every ounce of energy. Doctor, when I wake up, I fully expect to be well. And the last thing I remember was some jumping backwards just before cutting me open. And hours later, he's standing over me and he says, Mrs. Stutz, I have no idea what happened, but you will, in 4 days, walk out of this hospital on your own. Wonderful. I was put in a room, and the entire medical staff on duty came to visit me, calling me the walking miracle. It took me years to straighten out everything that happened. But amazing. It was quite an experience, yes. And I honestly could never, ever make up all those facts.
Well, we are so thankful that you're here and everything is great and you're doing exactly what I guess you're intended to do. And you've written this wonderful book called Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, Relationship Building That Gets Results. And that's truly what it's about, isn't it? Is building those kind of relationships, because, you know, people don't like to be sold to, right? They like to you're really just building a relationship. And if they trust you and they like what you have to offer, they'll probably buy your product or service that you're rendering. Am I correct?
You are 100% on target. A manager once went out with me, and on the way back, he said, "If you don't change your ways, I'm going to fire you. Do you understand?" I said, "Yes, but I have one question." He said, "What's that?" I said, "If I'm doing everything wrong, please explain to me why I'm always at the top of the sales scoreboard." End of conversation.
I don't know why they feel, and I would just say this as because I've been in sales myself for years, and why they always seem to think that in order to pump up a salesperson is to bring them down first. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes,
they
I
feel like
do.
they have to bring a lot of managers, and not all of them, but a lot of managers will think they have to bring you down in order to pump you up to be a good salesperson, when the opposite. It's truly the opposite. You know, it's to
Very
inspire
sad.
you. Yeah, inspire you and lead you, and that's what makes it good. Doing that and having that relationship connection. That's what will get you going, because a lot of salespeople, it's not always um, about the number. It's about the sale. It's about they want to make that sale, or they want to build that relationship, or they want to help that person. And so it's sales is a lot more complicated than just a product and service, right?
It is. I never spoke about price till the very end. I built up value in the conversations and the relationship. So, what happened was, out of all these crazy experiences, I realized our difficult experiences, even the worst ones, are our gifts in disguise. I was very successful as an entrepreneur in the town where I knew a lot of people, but then we moved. And I introduced myself at a new conference, couple hundred people. I'm on stage, and upon announcing I'm a sales trainer, the ridicule was beyond comprehension. So I quickly got down, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "To establish credibility, you have to write a book." I never dreamt of becoming an author, but all those awful corporate stories came to mind in order. And I called Nice Girls Do Get the Sale a corporate tell-all with names changed to protect the guilty. And there's so many lessons in there, plus laugh out loud. People call it laugh out loud funny stories now. Was not funny going through the experience. But what happened? My gift in disguise. The book was quickly picked up on ABC TV News. It was featured in Time magazine and quickly became an international bestseller. During COVID, more people were reading, and it was announced that my book is now evergreen among the classics. If you thought from being laughed off the stage to becoming the author of a classic book would happen, that was beyond my imagination.
Well,
Well,
and it's also interesting, Cece. Recently we had Randy Pizer
Oh,
on from Author
yes.
One Stop as a guest, and she's one of the people that helped Eleanor get to these statuses with Time Magazine and stuff. And so we just love the way it's all interconnected. How we always talk about collaboration. This is a true
Absolutely.
story of that. And really, Eleanor, congratulations that you never gave up, because I know that's the book. I read it over and over, and unfortunately, I loaned it out, so I don't have a copy in front of me right now. But if you could hold it up so people could see it
Be
too,
happy to. Thank you so much.
because I can honestly relate to so many of the stories, because I too grew up in corporate. And I mean, one time I even went one, like, you always used to be the top salesperson. One time I was the top salesperson, and we went on the President's Club to Hawaii, and every night we got gifts in our hotel room, and it would always say Mr. Wyland and guest, because they could not believe that a woman earned, that President's Club. I mean, that's just one example that, the kind of stuff you'll read in Eleanor's book about Nice Girls Do Get the Sale. It's just really sad. But way back when I started, I know they would even say right to my face, "What do you know? You're just a girl. What do you know? You're just a kid." now I think they don't say it quite as much, but they still, I think, often think it. And it's really sad because I really feel like because us women do have more empathy and really want to add value, like you said earlier, Eleanor, it makes such a difference versus just getting the sale, like Cece said earlier about it's not just about the product or the service. So I just want to encourage people to read Nice Girls Do Get the Sale because you'll chuckle a little bit because you probably lived it, but you'll also, learn that you're not the only one and never ever give up like Eleanor never did.
No, and like I said, our worst gifts are our worst experiences are our gifts in disguise. And I'd like to say, after that near-death experience and recalling all the experiences in corporate, my motto became believe, become, empower. Believe in yourself, become that person, and empower others to do the same. It's really, really important. So when we moved cross country to be with our family, I was invited to business gatherings in DC. What happened? People took one look at me and turned their backs and walked the opposite direction because
Wow.
I'm an older female. It was a waste of money and time. So blogging was new, and that's why I took to blogging. I figured nobody would ever see my face again. They'd just see my writing. And it took off over time.
It did, and it does, and it still is. I mean, you get featured in so many publications with your blogs, and look at on LinkedIn. I mean, you're just well known, and so you do sometimes just have to change the format or change the way you do share your expertise, and you have figured that out, and you keep excelling at it. And I feel like so many people benefit from it because I think both the sexes, the females, women definitely need to hear it, but even the males need to hear it because a lot of times it's just because that's what they've always been told too. My dad had three daughters, no sons, and he always, always called us three yucky girls. And he might have said it kiddingly, but it still hurt. I'm not going to kid you, to be always known as a yucky girl. But I think a lot of times that generation really did think of us as less than, as women. And so it's really nice to read your book, Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, because we really do. And I really encourage everybody to not give up, whoever you are, because all you have to do is really, I feel like, care and add value, like Eleanor said.
Yeah, you said something very interesting. At age 5, I came home from kindergarten crying, and my dad asked what happened. I told him, and he said, take this sentence very seriously. If you do not speak up for yourself, no one else will.
Wow.
And I became a master at it.
A 5-year-old.
At
Wow.
5 years old. Yeah. So by the time I got to corporate, they didn't know what hit them.
Very good. Good. Yeah, I think as women, joining together, collaborating together really gives us strength, and
Yes.
I think that's very, very important, and building the relationship. And I think women, we've got that down when it comes to sales. And so we definitely do that very well because it's a given for us to be able to do that because we're used to building, nurturing, that type of thing. And so maybe looking at it this way as we move forward into this new generation, then maybe we got something a little one up on guys, and they thought they had a one up on us years ago, but now maybe we've got one up on them. So because women are hitting the sales force like crazy, and we're doing a really bang up job with it. A lot of us have businesses of our own. We're all moving forward. We're professionals, and yeah, so I think the world has changed when it comes to women.
And I'd like to ask after the break, maybe Eleanor, you could share a couple stories from the book just to give people a taste of what they can expect after the break.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. So as we move forward, we want to make sure you guys know the book name is Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, Relationship Building That Gets Results. The author is Elinor, and it's
Stutz.
Stutz, Stutz, Stutz. So look that up on Amazon and make sure you order your copy. We want to make sure that you do that. Also, that Elinor is a CEO of Smooth Sale, and along with being the author of that wonderful book. So make sure you guys check her out on her website, smoothsale.net. That's smooth, SMOOTH, sale, SALE.net, NET. So check out our website. We're going to be right back. You guys are listening to Link to Expert, Goodreads, Author's Corner. I am Cece Schatz. I have my good friend Joanne Weiland with me, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory. And you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact GoingSoloDirectory.com.
Well, welcome back. You guys are listening to Link to Expert, Goodreads Author's Corner. I am Cece Schatz, the Joanne of Relationship Building. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me, and you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I just want to take a moment to explain who Joanne Weiland is, because I don't think she always tells everyone who she is. She's the Chief Connections Officer and the founder of the collaboration cloud community, linktoexpert.com. If you don't know what Link to Expert is, go check it out, because it's something you definitely want to be on. If you are a professional in business, you want to be able to really start making and networking and collaborating with other experts and be shown as an expert, go to linktoexpert.com and join it right away. We hope that you'll do that. So let's talk a little bit with our author here today. We are talking about Goodreads, and there's no other good read than The Nice Girls Do Get the Sale. That relationship building that gets results. Think about that for a moment. Relationship building that gets results. And that's what we want to do if we want to be successful in sales. So we have Elinor Stutz with us. It's Stutz. If I'm saying it right, I'm probably mucking it up because I tend to do things like that. But it's Elinor, Elinor, and then her last name is Stutz. So just go to Amazon and put that in, and you'll be able to locate her book and buy it, because if you want to change your life in sales, you most certainly need to do that. Or go to her website, smoothsale.net, and check her out. So let's talk a little bit more about that, about sales. We were talking a little bit about, the book itself, and you were going to share with us maybe a story that's within the book, or something that would help us with regards to moving our futures forward in sales.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. And thank you so much for letting me share those stories. The first one took place on my first job, and it was probably one of the worst stories. But again, I learned to speak up. I was the top producer the fourth month, not knowing a thing about what I was selling, a complete embarrassment to the men and the male executives. So the manager announces to the male team, in honor of Elinor's numbers, I'm going to treat you guys to a lingerie fashion show. And I said, wait a minute, they're my numbers. Let's go to lunch. Let's go to a movie. I'll even go to a ball game. Nope, I promised the guys a lingerie fashion show, and that's what we're doing. I was so angry. I didn't want to let it show, though. I left the office, went home early, told my husband, and he said, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So I seriously didn't know what to do. I entered the office the next morning. Secretaries are staring at me, and I didn't say a word. And honest to goodness, I didn't do it. My car knew to drive me to the motel. It was on the wrong side of town, mother-daughter combo, modeling these awful outfits, in my opinion. At any rate, I walk in, and the men are stunned that I walked in. And there's a very long dining table that they're seated at, which surprised me because there wasn't too many people. And lo and behold, the end seat was available. So I sat down. And as they were modeling, I started calling questions about the unknown brand of copier way across the table to the director, asking him how it worked. And I would not relent. They could not enjoy the show. But afterwards, before everybody got up and left, there was an announcement that if the men wanted to know more about the outfits, they could visit their motel room. So the last question I asked was to the director, are you going to go visit their motel room so you can learn more about the outfits and what they have available? And boy, was he beat red. And I quickly left because I knew I embarrassed the heck out of him. And when I got back to the office, they swore they would never do anything like that again. Goes back to my lesson at 5 years old. If you don't speak up for yourself, no one else will. You have to. And when things get really dark, you need to stand up and do what's right. Call them out. So, but with sales, I enjoyed my clientele. When people said they were too busy to meet with me, I'd say, how about I bring a cup of coffee in and a Danish? What kind do you like? I'll get it. And they were so shocked. They invited me in and we had wonderful conversations. And that's how I became the top producer. To me, it wasn't difficult. There was no memorization of words. It was how you behave, how you communicate, and having a welcoming and aura about you.
Yeah, and it's having the foresight to step forward, because a lot of times we won't do that. A lot of women will be a little bit more timid and stuff like that. And I think I shared with Joanne one time, years ago, I sold motorhomes, and I didn't know how to drive them, I didn't know anything about them. I just memorized what the engines were because I knew that's what the guys go for. And the women go for, all the conveniences of home and the decor. And so that I had down, but the engines I didn't. So I would, whatever the engine mod was and all that stuff, the service guy would help me with it. And then I would just get the service guy to drive it. And I'd always find out what they like to drink and maybe like some snacks that they like. And I always put that in the motorhome and we would drive around and next thing I know, I had a sale.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And then people would be like, oh, I can't believe she did that. But yeah, so I would do things like that. But it was really, and then again, it was our competition was very close, right? Price wise, we were also very close. But they bought because they liked me and they liked the, like the relationship, because they truly believed that if something happened to their motorhome, we had a service department, just like the other place had a service department. They knew that they could count on me, that, if they had a problem, if all they had to do is come to me and I'd be saying, hey, what's going on? Let's make this happen, that kind of thing. So it's building that relationship with someone and that trust that you developed with them. And so I think people need to know that and not be afraid of sales, because often people are afraid of sales. And really, it's just about building relationships with people, right?
Yes, and I have another story that's not in the book that you just reminded me of.
Yeah,
And
book
it
two.
was, I think it was a mistake on my fourth job. And
Mhm.
we're supposed to sell this very large printer that just came into being. So I had a very good client and I spoke with them. They said, yeah, we want it. Absolutely. So the engineer went out and they came back and reported to the manager it would never fit into the room that we were talking about. And I got scolded in front of the entire team. What are you doing wasting our engineers' time? It wouldn't fit in there. You should have known that up front. Blah, 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 blah. And what's your response? So I said, my response is they like me. And I know they will accommodate the wall situation to fit the copier or the printer. And please send the engineer back out. And I know together they can work out a reasonable solution. You're crazy. I said, well, you're under pressure to have a printer sold. Who else on this team has one in the works? No one. Well, I'm your only option. Go to it. And guess what happened? They rearranged the walls, the printer fit in, and I'm the one that won the huge bonus.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, why do we think that something can't be done rather than think that it can be, right?
It reminded me of the movie Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, good for you. Well, we can tell that this is going to be a great book to read because just with the one story alone, it's inspirational. So again, everyone, go to Amazon. It's sold on Amazon. Am I correct? I want to make sure. Is your book sold on Amazon? Yeah. So go to Amazon.com and look up The Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, Relationship Building That Gets Results. You want to hold the book up so they can see what it looks like?
Absolutely. And should you be inclined after reading it, if you really enjoyed it, a review would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Those out there, your reviews are very, very important. So, again, even this show, everything that you do, if you just send a little review, it can just be a one-liner. I liked it, enjoyed it, whatever. And that makes a huge difference to people and also to Google. So make sure that you put those reviews in because we do so appreciate it. So again, tell us just briefly about Smooth Sale. We only got a couple minutes left. So tell us about your website, smoothsale.net.
Well, my daughter's in marketing and she said, Mom, you always get every sale you ever put your heart and mind to getting. And she said the name of your company should be Smooth Sale. I love the name, although her remark wasn't 100% true, it was maybe 95% true. But my definition of smooth sale is to earn a returning and referring clientele in addition to prospecting. You always have to look for new clients because people come and go. But when you have the returning and referring clientele, the stress is eliminated because you will always have business and they'll give recommendations. It's part of your marketing and branding program that precedes sales. So Smooth Sale. I love the name.
Yeah, it's great.
When you also said about,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
She also has another website, ElinorStutz.linktoexpert.com, where you can find those 70 blogs I was talking about, as well as everything you can imagine about her frequently asked questions, her videos, her introductions, her bio, her books, all different things. And it's just at ElinorStutz.linktoexpert.com. And the reason we love the blogs is because then you can also reply to them and she'll receive your replies and then she can of course reply back to you. So it's just a quick, easy way to get to know the authors, the different experts. We just try to make it easy at Link to Expert. But the other thing I thought I would like to quickly cover is I have heard that a lot of the stories that you have in this book and a lot of the stories that we've been talking about today, unfortunately, are still true today. So when you do reply, I would love if you guys could tell us some of your stories, whether you reply to Elinor's blog on Link to Expert or even put it in, Amazon, wherever you feel more comfortable. But I really think it's interesting to see how times have not really changed as much as I would have liked to say that I think they changed. So I would like to hear our readers' responses and comments on that as well.
Link to Expert is a remarkable site. It's been a privilege contributing to it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I'd love to hear from others too, because Elinor really does share some, I call it wacky stories, but unfortunately they're true. So, it's almost unbelievable, but I'd love to hear other people's as well. So thank you.
I'm sorry, the more we can share and do the work together, the more likely perhaps a small change will take place, and then one after and one after.
Right. And don't forget
thriving.
Right. And don't forget what her dad told her at 5 years old. We have to stick up for ourselves. And that was another reason I created Link to Expert, because I really do believe we do have to toot our own horns when we do all these things. Like Elinor, you have had so many awards and everything as well. We want to showcase that because it really does take time, energy, and focus to be able to do that, to, believe in yourself, become, and empower others. So that's the other reason that all three of us here on this call, this, interview, talk about that, because I really feel like when we do showcase what we can have done and are doing, that we can encourage others too.
Yes.
And empower them.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. You're so right with that. It's again, what my takeaway is that it's really about the relationship building. It's really about connecting with others in a way that's so special that it can collaborate, trust, and a safe environment where people want to help each other. And I think your book does that. Nice girls do get the sale. Relationship building that gets results, inspires, and really helps people to be able to think, if you don't think you can do sales, let me tell you, you did it, Elinor, when chips were down at times and you still pulled yourself back up. And it's like, here, let me show you how it's done.
Exactly.
So I like that.
And heart and mind is how you connect with your prospective clientele, and then
That's
share
right.
the stories and experience and laughter.
Yes, for sure. Well, it sounds like a wonderful book. I haven't read it, but I think I'm going to get out there and get it. It's Nice Girls Do Get the Sale, Relationship Building That Gets Results. And again, we want to thank our wonderful author here, Elinor Stutz, is it? Am I saying it right?
It's okay. It's Stutz, S-T-U-T-Z.
S-T-U-T-Z, Stutz. So make sure you look that up on Amazon, get the book. And especially if you're into sales yourself. I mean, I told Joanne this one time is that, I lived in England for 3 years and we took the tube and back and forth. And so I spent a lot of time reading, and I would always read very uplifting books, sales books, motivational books, anything that would keep my spirits up, keep me motivated, keep me inspired. And when I didn't do that, my sales went way down. So I would say you put this on the top of your reading list. If you're in any kind of sales relationship building, put this on the top of it, and let's start getting you inspired, motivated, and get your sales up to where you're happy and content with what you're making. So that's what we would love to do here today. So thank you again, Elinor. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Cece and Joanne. I appreciate both of you very much. Thank you for having me as a guest. It's an honor.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you.
great having you. And again, her website is smoothsale.net. And I also want to share that she is one of our elite guests. She is on our station and supporting us. We support her. And also she's in our directory, the goingsolo directory.com. So you'll find her everywhere. So we want to make sure that if you don't remember how to get a hold of her, all you got to do is just check it out on our website, which is goingboldmedia.com.
And these days
So-
we actually are on 59 different networks. So you can reach the millions. And seriously, that's the other thing that's so important, because a lot of times people will also want to start a relationship with you if they see you, hear you, and know what you can do for them. So we encourage you to tune in. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Elinor. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And please send the invoice and I'll be happy to take care of it immediately.
Okay, we got that.
Just
All
for
right,
the
so
two of you,
everyone-
no one else.
We love you. So everyone, you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is Link to Expert, Goodreads, Author's Corner. I am Cece Schatz, the Joanne of Relationship Building, and I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland. We'll catch you next time. So make sure you read all those really great books and come back to us and let us know what you think. Bye for now.